I'm the last person who should be telling a paranormal story because I'm not built for that kind of thinking. I'm a butcher, not the movie version, not the dramatic version. Just a regular American guy who spent most of his life behind a counter, starting before sunrise, trimming, weighing, wrapping, cleaning, repeating. When you work with schedules, temperatures, and routines every day, your brain gets trained to trust what's measurable. If something feels off, you assume there's a practical reason, a loose wire, a bad switch, a neighbor messing around, a mistake you haven't found yet. That mindset worked for most of my life. But 13 years ago, a week after my mother died, my old landline rang at 5:03 in the morning, and I picked it up and heard her voice. And yeah, I know how that sounds. I've heard the same kind of creepy story on the internet, the kind people label as true scary stories and toss into playlists. If somebody told me this before it happened to me, I would have been polite, nodded, and quietly assumed grief had messed with their head. I'm telling you straight, I was fully awake, standing up, bright July sunlight cutting through the upstairs hall. And what I heard wasn't a vague whisper or a half dream. It was my mother speaking like she always did. Let me back up and set the scene properly because context matters. It always does. Back then, I lived in a quiet New Jersey suburb in a split-level house that looked like 100 other houses on the block. 2-car driveway, small backyard, the kind of place where you can hear kids ride bikes in the summer, and the biggest excitement is when someone's dog gets loose. I was married, my kids were grown or close to it, and my life was about work and family, the same way it is for most people who don't have time to chase mysteries. My mom had been a steady presence in our home all through my married life. When my kids were little, she was the extra set of hands that made everything possible. She'd come over, fold laundry, help with homework, keep an eye on them while my wife and I ran errands, and she'd do it without making it feel like a favor. That was just her, practical, helpful, not big on emotion, not big on speeches. Love to her was showing up. When she got older and couldn't get around the way she used to, I found her a small rented bungalow just minutes away from my house. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean, safe, and close enough that I could check on her without turning my whole day upside down. For 8 years, I took care of her. I'd bring groceries, fix whatever needed fixing, drive her to appointments, sit and listen when she felt lonely. And my kids visited her often, even after they grew up, because she was the glue in our family, even when nobody admitted it out loud. She stayed sharp right to the end. No long lingering illness, no foggy confusion. She could tell you exactly what day it was and what she thought of the news. Then my daughter had a baby girl, Amy, and suddenly my mom had a new reason to pay attention to time. About a week before Amy's first birthday, my mother said something that stuck with me because it didn't sound like her usual practical talk. She said, "I just want to see Amy be one. Not, I hope I live a long time. Not, I'm scared. Just that one simple milestone, like she was checking an item off a list." Amy's birthday came, we did the whole thing, cake and photos and everyone laughing at the mess. My mother looked tired, but she was present. She watched Amy like she was memorizing her. Less than 2 weeks later, she died. The days after that were a blur of heat, phone calls, paperwork, condolences, and this strange, heavy quiet that sits in your house when someone important is gone. The night before her funeral, I barely slept. It was one of those hot July nights where the air feels stuck. At some point, I drifted off, but I kept waking up, checking the clock, and feeling like my mind was trying to solve something it couldn't solve. Then, at around 5 a.m., the ringing started. We had an old land phone mounted on the wall on the upstairs landing. It was ancient, beige, and loud, like it belonged in another decade. My wife and I kept it because it was useful and because my mom liked it. She hated cell phones. She didn't trust them. She liked a phone that stayed where you put it and rang when it was supposed to ring. For years, she'd call me on that landline early in the morning, especially toward the end when she was having trouble moving around. I'd hear that ring, roll out of bed, and answer, already knowing it was her. So when it rang the morning before her funeral, my first half-asleep thought was almost automatic, Mom again. I got up, fully awake by the time my feet hit the floor. The sun was already bright, pouring into the bedroom, so I pulled the curtains closed before stepping into the hall. I remember that detail because it matters to me. I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't in darkness. I was alert and moving around. The land phone rang again, sharp and impatient. I walked to the landing, lifted the receiver and said, "Hello?" There was a faint hiss on the line. Then my name, spoken in my mother's voice, clear as day. My body reacted before my mind did. My stomach dropped, my skin went cold, and my hands tightened around the receiver so hard my knuckles hurt. It wasn't just the sound of her, it was her specific rhythm, the way she said my name like she was checking that I was really there. I froze, staring at the wall like it could explain what I was hearing. "Mom," I said. She answered immediately, "I'm here." That's when I felt the fear turn into something sharper, something I didn't know where to put. Grief is one thing. This was different. This was the world breaking a rule right in front of me. "Where are you?" I asked. It came out rough, like my throat had tightened. There was a pause. Not static, not silence, just hesitation. Like she was turning her head, trying to recognize her surroundings. "I don't know," she said. My mother never said, "I don't know," unless she meant it. She wasn't dramatic. She didn't talk about spiritual stuff, didn't entertain supernatural ideas, didn't read those books. If she sounded uncertain, it wasn't for effect. It felt like she was genuinely confused. I swallowed hard. "Are you okay?" I asked. "Can you see anything? Are you in your house?" Another small pause. The line crackled softly, then she said, "I tried." "Tried what?" I asked, and I hated how shaky my voice sounded. "I tried to do what I wanted," she said, and suddenly I remembered her words about Amy's birthday so vividly, it felt like she said them 5 minutes ago. "You saw Amy?" I blurted. For a second she sounded calmer. "Yes," she said, "she's one." And then, faintly behind her voice, I heard something that made my mouth go dry. A small, distant sound, like a baby's giggle, muffled. Not close enough to be in my house, but present enough to be unmistakable. It was so out of place that my mind tried to reject it, but my ears didn't. My legs felt weak. I leaned against the wall, holding that receiver like it was the only solid thing left. "Mom," I said carefully, "where are you calling from?" "I can't find the way," she said, and her voice shifted. Less calm, more strained, like she was trying to stay composed and failing. "It's loud here." The hallway light above me flickered once, just once. A quick blink like the power had hiccuped. I remember thinking, in the most ridiculous practical way, great. Now the wiring too. But the air got cold, not the AC kicked on cold. Cold like someone opened a door to a basement I didn't have. The skin on my arms tightened. I did the only thing I could think to do, which was talk to her the way you talk to someone you love when they sound lost. "Listen to me," I said. "Stay with my voice. You're okay. You're safe." There was a longer crackle on the line, and then, in the distance, I heard another ringing. Not my land phone. Another phone ringing, far away, like a call echoing down a long hallway. My mother sounded smaller. "I don't like it," she said. My eyes filled up, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. I'd been holding it together for days, doing what needed doing, being strong for everyone else. But hearing her sound afraid did something to me. "Mom," I said, "you don't need to worry about us. We're okay." She didn't answer right away, and I could hear that line hiss like the phone itself was breathing. Then she said very gently, "Tell them I tried." "What does that mean?" I asked, but my voice cracked. "I tried," she repeated. "Tell them." And then the line went dead. No goodbye, no click, just silence. I stood there holding the receiver for a full minute, maybe more, waiting for it to come back. My brain was scrambling, trying to force logic onto something that didn't want it. Maybe it was a recording, maybe it was crossed lines, maybe it was some bizarre phone glitch. But none of that explained the baby giggle, or the way she responded to what I said, or the fact that she sounded like she was somewhere else entirely. Finally, I hung up. And that's when I noticed the thing that made my fear turn into a cold, slow panic. The phone cord was unplugged from the wall. Not dangling loose, not half out, fully unplugged, coiled neatly on the small shelf beneath the phone, like someone had carefully removed it. I stared at it, then at the empty jack, then back at the receiver like it might start talking again on its own. I lifted it again. No dial tone. Dead. I stood there with the receiver to my ear, listening to nothing, trying to accept what my eyes were telling me. Because I know phones, I know wires, I know how things connect. A dead line does not ring. An unplugged land phone does not carry a voice. I went downstairs and checked the kitchen phone. We had a second landline base there. It was quiet. No missed call light, no blinking. I checked my cell. Nothing. I didn't wake my wife right away. What was I going to say? "Hey, I think your mother-in-law called me from wherever people go after they die." That's not a sentence you drop into a normal morning. Instead, I did what I always do when something doesn't make sense. I went looking for facts. As soon as it was a reasonable hour, I drove to my mum's bungalow. The streets were already hot and hazy, that early summer brightness that makes everything look too sharp. I pulled into her driveway and sat there for a second, staring at the front door, feeling like I was about to walk into a place that had already stopped being hers. The landlord was there, doing what landlords do. He looked up, nodded, and told me they'd already started preparing the place because the lease was ending. We talked in that awkward way people talk when someone dies, practical words over a heavy topic. I asked him about the phone line. "Oh, we disconnected it," he said. "Company came by, no service now." I walked inside anyway, straight to the little side table where her land phone used to sit. The phone was still there, but it looked wrong without her. I picked up the receiver. No dial tone, nothing. I put it down gently, like it was fragile, and asked the landlord when the line had been cut. He shrugged. "Couple days ago." A couple days ago, meaning before the call. I drove back home in silence, hands tight on the steering wheel. When I got home, I went straight upstairs and stared at our unplugged land phone again. I checked the jack, checked the cord, checked everything. Still dead. If you're expecting me to say I called the phone company and they confirmed a glitch, I wish I could. I did call them. They gave me the usual runaround. No record, no outgoing call. Line was inactive. The guy on the phone sounded like he wanted to get off the call as quickly as possible. And honestly, I don't blame him. By afternoon, I was starting to feel like I was losing my grip. Not in a dramatic way, but in that quiet way where you keep replaying the same moment, searching for a place where your mind tricked you. But every replay ended in the same place. Her voice, clear, answering my questions, sounding lost. That evening, after we got through the chaos of the funeral preparations, I went into my garage and dug through boxes like I was searching for a missing tool. I don't know what I thought I'd find. Maybe a note, maybe something that would ground me. I found an old shoebox that had my mom's things in it, the kind of items you'd done to throw away because they still feel like part of a person. A worn address book, a keychain, birthday cards, a small folded slip of paper. It was one of her lists. My mother loved lists. The handwriting was hers. The words were simple. "See Amy, turn 1. Don't worry him. Call if I can." I sat on the garage step holding that paper like it was a live wire. My throat closed up and my eyes burned. It wasn't proof. It wasn't science. But it was something. Something that lined up too perfectly with what I'd heard. That night, after the funeral, after the house filled and emptied, after the quiet returned, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about her voice saying, "I don't know." That was the part that haunted me, not the idea of a ghost. The idea of my mother being confused, calling me the way she always did because that was the only thing she knew to do. Around midnight, I got up and walked to the upstairs landing. The land phone sat there, unplugged, harmless looking, like it had done nothing at all. I stood in front of it for a long time. I'm not a religious showman. I'm not the guy who lights candles and makes a scene. But I do believe words matter, especially when you don't have anything else. So I spoke out loud, quietly, like I was talking to her in her kitchen. "Mom," I said, "I heard you. You did it. You saw Amy. We're okay." The house was still. No flicker, no sound. I continued anyway because I needed to finish it. "You don't need to worry about me anymore. You don't need to call. If you're lost, you don't have to be. You can let go." I didn't expect anything to happen. I wasn't performing. I was closing a door gently. Then I did the most practical thing I could think of, because practicality is my language. I took the land phone off the wall, put it in a box, and carried it downstairs. I figured if the phone was the bridge, I was removing the bridge. Not out of fear, but out of mercy. I wanted the house to stop waiting for a ring that should never come. As I stepped onto the middle stair, the phone rang once inside the box. One sharp ring. Just one. I stopped so fast I almost dropped it. My whole body went cold. I stood there holding the box, listening for another ring, my heart pounding like it wanted out. Nothing. No second ring, no third. Just silence. I set the box down on the dining room table, opened it, stared at the phone like it might explain itself. It didn't. The cord was still coiled. The phone was still unplugged, dead. The next morning, I drove to my daughter's house and watched Amy play on the floor, squealing and babbling, living in a world that doesn't know anything about grief or land phones or goodbyes. My daughter asked me if I was okay, and for the first time, I told someone the truth. Not the whole dramatic version, just the facts. The call, the voice, the unplugged cord, the note. My daughter didn't laugh. She didn't tell me I was crazy. She just got quiet and said, "Grandma always did things her way." That afternoon, we did something small but meaningful. We visited my mom's grave, and I talked to her like she was sitting beside me. I told her she didn't have to check on us anymore. I told her Amy would be okay. I told her I loved her. It wasn't a movie moment. It was a tired son trying to give his mother permission to rest. After that, the house changed. Not instantly, not magically, but the pressure lifted. The morning stopped feeling tense. The hallway stopped feeling cold. And the landline never rang again. I kept the phone boxed up for a long time, like you keep something you don't fully understand but don't want to disrespect. Eventually, I donated it with a bunch of other old things when we cleaned out the garage. I didn't make a big deal out of it. I just let it go. I'm still a butcher. I still trust facts. I still roll my eyes at half the American Horror Story style stuff people post for clicks. But I also know what I heard. And if you're collecting scary stories, true scary stories, a creepy story told in horror story English with that real paranormal experience feeling, here's mine. The only call that ever truly scared me wasn't threatening. It wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. It was my mother sounding lost, using the one tool she'd relied on her whole life, reaching for me out of habit and love. And the way it ended, the way it finally solved itself was simple. I answered. I listened. I told her she'd done what she came to do. Then I let the line go quiet.